Hello everyone and welcome to my first ever theory video. I'm going to be talking about a little known game called Immortal Mantis. But before I get into the story, I first want to talk a little bit about how I found this game. It was a little bit after my birthday, I think it was April 21st, and I had some birthday money to spend, so I was looking through Steam games to see if there was anything interesting. So I went to where I usually look, which is the games that are on sale. While I was searching, there was one specific game that caught my eye. And this game was, of course, Immortal Mantis. It was very cheap and looked like a pretty good game, but the most interesting thing to me was the release date. The game had just been published that day, and at the time it only had one review. So I went straight to YouTube to see if anybody had talked about it. But the only video I found was the trailer. I was super excited that I was going to be the first person to play it on YouTube, and I wanted to stream it right away. So, I went to bed. When I woke up the next morning, I quickly checked YouTube, and unfortunately, somebody had made a video about it while I was asleep. But I decided to stream it anyways, and I had a lot of fun. However, there was one problem. I couldn't figure out how to get the second ending. Now, at the time, there were no hints at all about how to get it, so after trying everything I could think of, I gave up and made a community post. I then took a break for a few hours, and when I came back, I saw it. Somebody had responded. Somebody named Kindly Space. As far as I know, I'm the first person to find the second ending. You need to get to the point to go outside and search behind the trees to the side of the house. I'd personally do this before you get the crowbar because there's a shovel in the same room that you will need. With the help of this person, I was able to get the second ending, and that's pretty much everything you need to know about how I found this game. After getting the second ending, I made a few more videos about the game and got quite a few responses from the creator, which is pretty cool. And now we're here. But with all that aside, let's get into the game. The game begins with a very strange monologue. It's finally time. He came. It couldn't be better than that. There's no doubt. He is able. Everything is ready, Dad. We'll be together soon. The promise will be fulfilled. My new life starts now. The stage is ready. It then switches to our protagonist, Akin Nikosi, in his newly bought home. We start by making some coffee and drinking it while we watch TV. We then go to the bathroom before hearing a strange noise coming from outside. After looking out the windows and determining that everything is fine, we decide to lock the doors and go to bed. However, we can't fall asleep, so we decide to get a snack from the fridge. While eating, we hear another strange noise coming from outside, so we lock out the windows again. Whoever is trying to be sneaky out there is not doing a good job. This time, we see a few notes and some colored skull-looking things on the wall. These colors line up with the paintings that we find in the hallway, and when we interact with the paintings in the order of the skulls, we get a key and a piece of paper that says "Free him" with a picture of a mantis. We then use that key to enter a dark room with some sort of mantis thing that starts moving towards us. We back away and the screen turns black. Then eyes start to show up and the word reminiscence appears. Suddenly we're outside in what seems to be a flashback. We're in a field that has a graveyard, a locked shed type of thing, and some pictures. Using the pictures, we're able to find the code to the lock on the shed. Inside, we put our gun in a safe and leave. We are then back inside the house in the room with the mantis thing. We turn the lights on and see that it's just some sort of mannequin. We then decide to go back and get the gun because there's somebody sneaking around our house. While outside, we notice that the wires for our phone are gone. This will be important later for the second ending. With the help of a crowbar, we are able to get the gate open and go back to the shed. While inside, we see a strange-looking knife with a barrier around it. Upon touch, the barrier disappears. We then try to leave, but Mantis shows up and tries to attack us. However, we are able to use a sledgehammer and break down the wall to escape. We go to the graveyard and find the gun hidden there. Now that we have the gun, we're able to get our first ending. We make our way back to the gate to our house, but as we're walking to the house, Mantis shows up. We shoot at him for a while until eventually he catches up and stabs us. He then has another strange monologue. I think these are your last moments of consciousness, Akin. I'll take the opportunity and tell you a little more about me. Are you interested? In fact, I don't think you have a choice, do you? My parents bought this house a long time ago. This is where I was born. A good part of my childhood was happy. My father taught me all sorts of things. I loved him so much. We worked every morning together, but one day, he died, and all that was left was my mother. So she married that guy. It was all very fast. I was emotionally destroyed. But my suffering wasn't just emotional. I needed to act. So I did what I could. My stepfather crying next to the body is one of the best memories I have. There are people who kill because they feel nothing, but in my case, it was different. I found something that makes me happy. I must thank you, Akin. You released the dagger. The pact was made. He lives in me. Now I'm like one of them. Now I'm immortal. After getting the first ending, we are met with a screen that says, "Investigate the papers left by Mantis outside the house to call for help." If we agree to investigate the papers, we are brought back to the room with the Mantis mannequin. We turn the light on and proceed like before, but this time, when we go outside, we interact with one of the notes from before. Behind it is a picture of 3 graves, the bottom of which has a hole in it. In addition to the crowbar, we also get a shovel from the tool room and bring it with us. We then use the shovel to dig up the bottom grave. Inside, we find the wires for our phone. So we go back into the house, replace the wires, and call the police for help. We then continue as normal and get killed by Mantis. However, what happens next is different. We then switch to controlling Mantis as he makes his way back to the shed. There's a lot of important stuff here, but I'll talk about it a bit later. We then make it to the shed and have a memory of Mantis stabbing himself in the stomach. A conversation then appears on screen. "Hey mister, you have become a great friend. I know this is not true, but would you care if I call you Dad?" "Do not be afraid." "Yes, you can call me Dad." A strange figure then appears in front of Mantis. This figure is Dad. He says that the knife from before is the only thing that can hurt Mantis now. We then leave the shed and encounter a police officer. The officer shoots us, but we don't die since we're now immortal. We then kill the police officer. One important thing to note is that Mantis says that his stepbrother is also a police officer. This is important for the sequel game that I'll talk about at the end of the video. I'm just gonna quickly throw this in here in post-editing because I forgot to mention it in the rest of the video, but Sergey is the name of the stepbrother. So when I refer to a character called Sergey, I am talking about Mantis' stepbrother. We then get our final bit of information before the end of the game. After the house incident, many others happened. Gradually, the police lost credibility. The townspeople were restless and furious with the authorities. However, Mantis' actions didn't seem random. Their victims were usually women or children. Bodies were found in random places after a few days of disappearance. Deaths weren't quick, he was cruel. The rookie policeman named Sergei Petrov managed to take over the case after much insistence. In a sensationalist headline, the Mantis mass serial killer was called the Unstoppable Killer. As you look closer at the information scattered around, you're able to begin to form a timeline of Mantis' life. If you look at one of the notes outside the window, you'll see a few diary entries from Mantis' mom. December 15th, 1983. The renovations are going as fast as the wind. After some very suspicious symptoms, I found out that we are expecting a child, so we need to build this room. It's looking fantastic. September 18th, 1985. My husband is so smart about business. City residents often told us about the constant rains, so Takashi decided to work with corn, as this crop requires a lot of water. It was the perfect choice. We are earning a lot of money, as this is not a very explored market here. May 3rd, 1994. I can't believe it. Takashi was plowing the field as usual. There was no sign that this would happen. He just screamed and fell to the ground. He had a massive heart attack. The saddest thing was that Fuyuki witnessed everything. He came crying to tell me. I write these lines as a way to ease my pain. Now it's just you and me, Fuyuki. Additionally, the pictures outside of the shed show Mantis's family in 1990, where it's Mantis, his mom, and Takashi, his dad. 1994, after his father died, and 1995, with Mantis, his mom, and some people we've never seen before. Once you get to the second ending, you get a lot more information. The first thing you find is another diary entry. December 21st, 1994. My late husband Takashi left a lot of money behind. Unfortunately, this attracted the attention of many people. Some close relatives legally claimed a part of the inheritance. The lawyer I hired took care of everything easily. He is extremely smart and competent. In fact, I think I got closer to him than I should have. We identify because he is also a widower and raising 2 children alone. He has this Russian name which is difficult to pronounce. Despite the trauma, it seems that Fuyuki has matured a lot after the loss of his father, so I don't feel bad about leaving him alone for this night. Petrov invited me to go to this fancy restaurant I always wanted to visit. To be honest, I'm really excited. You also find a business card for a lawyer. This lawyer is most likely the same person mentioned in the diary entry. It really looks like it says Iva Petrov, to me, at least, but I'm gonna say that it's Ivan Petrov, because that's a male name of Russian origin. I really think it's an H, but I'm gonna go with an N because that fits better. So Ivan Petrov is Mantis's stepfather and the adult man in the 1995 photo. That means the other 2 people in that photo would be Mantis's stepsister and stepbrother. We also see a newspaper talking about a boy, which is obviously Mantis, killing his 5-year-old stepsister. And finally, we see a drawing of me plus dad. So here's the events in order. On December 15th, 1983, Mantis's mother finds out that she's pregnant. On September 18th, 1985, they start growing corn. From what I can tell, this isn't important to the story, but it does hint towards us being in his childhood home. On May 3rd, 1994, Takashi has a heart attack and Mantis sees it happen. On December 21st, 1994, Mantis's mother starts dating a lawyer that she hired to help with the money Takashi left behind. Mantis's mother marries the lawyer, Ivan Petrov, sometime in 1995, and finally, Mantis kills his stepsister sometime in 1995 after his mom marries Ivan. Now I will attempt to answer some of the many questions left by this game. So the first question is really 2 questions, but I'm combining them into one because they're pretty similar. When does this game take place, and how old is Mantis? From the very first diary entry, we know that Mantis's mother finds out that she's pregnant after getting some very suspicious symptoms. According to Google, people get symptoms of pregnancy sometime between 1 week and a few months of pregnancy. So as a good midpoint, I'm gonna say that she was 1 month pregnant when she found out. On average, pregnancies last for about 280 days. She found out she was pregnant on December 15th, 1983, meaning there were 16 days left in the year. 280 days minus 16 days is 264 days. And that number is the number of days into 1984 that she gave birth. 264 days into 1984 would be September 20th, 1984. However, since she was already 1 month pregnant when she found out, we have to go back 1 month. So Mantis was born sometime around August 20th, 1984. Using this information, we can find that Mantis was 9 years old when his dad died. Now, Mantis killed his stepsister sometime in 1995, and we know that it was after his mom married Ivan, since she wouldn't be a stepsister if it was before. Now, we aren't told exactly when Mantis's mother married Ivan, but usually people date for a while before getting married, so I'm gonna go ahead and say that it was near the end of 1995, meaning Mantis was 11 years old when it happened. If you look at the picture from 1995, you can see that Sergei is slightly shorter than Mantis, so I'm just gonna go ahead and say that he's about 1 year younger than Mantis, which means that he would have been 10 years old at the end of 1995. Now, we also know that Sergei is now a rookie police officer. I'm going to go ahead and say that the minimum required age to become a police officer is 20 years old, because that's how it is in Japan, and that's right around in the middle of the possible minimums in the United States. If Sergei became a police officer at the minimum required age, then it would be 10 years after 1995. So, according to my estimates, this game takes place sometime around 2005, and Mantis is around 21 years old. The second question is, who is Dad? This is a difficult question because we don't have much information to work with, but I honestly think I've got it almost completely figured out. However, I want to make a separate video on it, so you'll have to wait a little bit longer for that. On to question 3, why did we move into the house? This really isn't a big question, but I have a theory that I like, so I'm going to include it anyways. For some reason, we're able to break the barrier around the knife. I don't know if only we specifically could do it, or if anybody could, but Mantis, uses us to break the barrier and then kills us, so clearly he can't do it. When we're in the shed during the flashback, Akin says something about the realtor telling him about the shed. What if the realtor was Mantis and he was trying to convince us to move into the house so he could use us to break the barrier? And then there's also one question that I don't have a theory for. When we're on the title screen, we see 3 objects on what appears to be a table. Those 3 objects are Mantis's mask, Mantis's knife, and some pills. The pills obviously have to be related to Mantis since the other 2 objects are, but I have no idea what they're for. And that's everything I have for Immortal Mantis. I really enjoyed the game, as you can probably tell by my playtime. However, there is one more thing I want to cover, and that is the sequel game. In the most recent update log, BitLife Studios, the person who made the game, gave us some information about the sequel game. The first thing is that the sequel will not be called Immortal Mantis 2 because they want it to be a game that anyone can play. Because of this, there will be a playable intro that explains everything important from the first game. The game will switch between playing as Mantis and his stepbrother. We'll play as Mantis killing people and then Sergei investigating the case. There will also probably be some scenes where Mantis is chasing the player. We were also shown 2 images. The first is the playable intro mentioned before, and the second is some sort of office. My prediction is that this is at the police station. In addition to the information given in that post, we know from a comment left on one of my videos that Dad will be explored more in the sequel. And finally, based on the fact that only the knife can kill Mantis now, our end goal as Sergei is probably going to be to get the knife and kill Mantis with it. And that's everything I've got. If you're interested in checking out the game, I'll leave a link to it in the description. I'd like to give a big thanks to BitLife Studios for making the game and also commenting on my videos. And I'd also like to thank all of you for watching. If you like this video, feel free to like and subscribe and hit the bell if you want to stay up to date with any information on the sequel. Thank you all for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and goodbye.